Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about something that the lifting world for some reason seems to be so resistant to, that the rest of the world, at least in America, accepts as pretty much mainstream, and that is, the idea that TRT is a men's health matter, right? This is a men's health matter. And it's one of these areas where, again, you don't see resistance outside of the actual fitness and lifting world, which is such a strange take. And I think the only reason that comes up is because you have this whole cult of worshiping naturalism, right? In there, that because there was so much gear use and heavy anabolic use is such a routine part of the lifting and bodybuilding world, that you have this whole counterculture in there that rejects even medical applications of these things, right? And the problem is, even the people who are discussing all these negative health things are not understanding that these pro bodybuilders who've had health issues from this, they're not using just double the therapeutic amount or 3 times the TRT amount or 10 times. Some of them are literally using 50 times, 80 times, 100 times the therapeutic amount. And when I say that, people think that I'm exaggerating, and I'm literally not exaggerating. I do mean that as actual real math. Like literally 50 up to 100 times a therapeutic amount that TRT would be, plus 6, 7, 8, 9 other substances being mixed in, oftentimes recreational substances mixed in. So we need a context for that. And the fact of the matter is, when even studies have been done on super physiological amounts of testosterone, the health risks actually look fairly low for healthy people. I mean, quite low. I don't want to say perfectly healthy, but I mean, say compared to drinking a drink or 2 every week or eating at McDonald's for lunch, I'm going to, a lower risk than that, which is not zero. That is still risk. Eating at McDonald's every day is unhealthy. Having a couple drinks a week does harm your health. This isn't really debatable points at this point, right? So I'm not making light of those things when I say that. But realistically, right? So that has really confounded the issue quite a bit, right? It's created some complications in the issue. And even when you bring these topics up, when people don't look at the large-scale studies or the data, you'll see people saying, well, but testosterone replacement therapy has been linked to prostate cancer and these other issues. And it's like, except that it hasn't, okay? Meaning there's speculation of it, but the studies themselves, when studies have actually directly looked at it, as actual serious studies, it doesn't actually appear to be the case. Meaning there's not really a correlation there. Once test subjects start getting into the hundreds, right? Your sample sizes start getting up into the hundreds for the studies, it seems to go away. Right? It seems to actually go away. That there doesn't appear to be it. So any minor little studies, we're looking at very, very limited numbers of people. The reality is there isn't even statistical support for that idea. In other words, there isn't a statistical correlation between testosterone replacement therapy and prostate cancer. Right? It's just not there. It's not there in the data. It's not there. So when people say there's a possible link, well, possible link, you still need to prove it. And the link does not appear to be there when larger studies have looked at it. And people do need to be aware of that. In men who have no history of prostate cancer. Okay. Now, that's where the data gets cloudy. There appears that for people who have had and been treated for prostate cancer, it may actually be a possible concern. But for people who haven't had this issue, there's just no support for this in the evidence. So this is a problem. Same thing when people say, well, what about these risks of stroke and heart attack? But the large-scale studies show the opposite. Like there was a study that had looked at something like 100,000 men who had been diagnosed with clinically low testosterone, and they studied the men who chose to go on TRT and those who chose to not go on it. And the stroke and heart attack rate was 30% lower in the people on the TRT. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means that the evidence suggests that there's an association with TRT being cardioprotective. It's the exact opposite. So in other words, it's cardioprotective. Lo and behold, men's heart health benefits from having a healthy amount of testosterone. Okay? So we need to be clear on that. That is what the actual evidence suggests. Is it proven conclusive? No. But if we go purely upon the data we have, it appears to be cardioprotective. So in other words, reduces the chance of stroke and heart attack. Okay, so we have that in addition to all these other benefits. Low testosterone is heavily associated with increased rates of anxiety, with depression, low self-esteem, low confidence. Ooh, now we're getting into the topic of men's mental health. How about sexual performance, sexual dysfunction? And being on TRT is producing the opposite. So in other words, men who go on TRT appear to have lower rates of anxiety and depression. They have better confidence, better mood, better sex drive, better sexual performance. So this is where we get to a point to where when people are saying TRT is a problem, you are literally saying, let me translate that. Anyone who is opposed openly, like as to wide-scale TRT, not individual cases where a person may have an issue with it, but as a large-scale response, you are essentially in favor of men having strokes, men having heart attacks, men having higher rates of depression, men having higher rates of anxiety, men having lower sex drives, men having lower happiness, lower sense of well-being. So in other words, the best way to translate that, you wish all those things upon other men, even if you're a man. That sounds like hatred of men. That sounds like you are against men's health. All in the name of natural purity. Wow. Now that sounds more like a ridiculous movement or cult to me. Because as I always tell people, test life is the best life. All right? That's my opinion. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.